Hi, nice to see you again, of course. This time we are helping you, or we will be helping you to communicate about your city, your hometown, your province, your country. So the question is, what is your hometown like? Tu pueblo natal. What is your hometown like? So we are going to do that. We are going to help you describe your hometown or city through a song first. So listen to the song and enjoy the song.
There's a palace in my town and a shopping centre. There's a university, there's lots to do and see. There are cafes and restaurants and a museum too. Let's go to the cinema. Welcome to my town. Let's go to the playground. Let's go to the library. Come and read a book with me. Let's go to the station and see the trains waiting. Let's see the cathedral and all the happy people. All the happy people. Look at all the happy people. All the happy people. Look at all the happy people. There's a hospital, a swimming pool, and a market every day. Let's go to the theatre, let's go and see a play. There's a bridge by the river and a park by the school. There's a police station and a football stadium. Welcome to my town. Let's go to the playground. Let's go to the library. Come and read a book with me. Let's go to the station and see the trains waiting. Let's see the cathedral and all the happy people. All the happy people. Look at all the happy people. All the happy people. Look at all the happy people. Welcome to my town.
Did you like it? That was beautiful, okay? So that's something that you can do, and that's an activity that you can assign to your students. You can ask, as future teachers, you can ask your students to prepare their own audiovisual, right? With their mobiles, with their cameras, they can prepare their own audiovisuals to practice the content that you have studied. We started the lesson today with this video clip in which they are speaking about their town, and I have selected, let's say, words that might be useful for you, expressions that might be useful for you. For example, there is a lot to do and see. There is a bridge by the river, for example. Notice there is a lot to do and see, because this is an expression that you can use when you invite someone to visit your place, or when you describe your city, your neighborhood, your hometown. And notice the phrase by the river. That's very commonly used. Cuando está cerca del río, del mar, right? You say, I have a house by the sea, muy cerca del mar, by the river, muy cerca del río. So you use the expression by when you want to describe or refer to a place that is situated very close to something else. Okay, so now I will ask you to pay attention to the explanation I give in reference to the description of your hometown. So first you have to introduce your town or your city. So that would be the first part of your explanation, of your description. You have to tell the others, you have to, let's say, introduce your town. For example, as I have here, I live in Havana. It is the capital city. It is a huge city. These are, of course, just examples of possible expressions that you can use. But the important thing is that you have to provide an introductory idea, an introductory sentence. Or if you live in a small place, I live in a small village by the sea. Vivo en una comunidad cerca del mar. I live in a small village by the sea. Notice how I have introduced these two places. In fact, now I live in Havana, but just many years ago, 40 years ago, I would have used this, the other sentence. I live in a small village by the sea or by the river, because I am originally from Villa Clara, right? I am not originally from Havana. I have lived in Havana for 40 years by now, but I was born in Villa Clara in a small village, close to a sugar mill factory, right? Its name is Quintín Banderas. I love the people in that place. So from here, I am just want to recall the memories, my memories in that village, okay? So the people from that village would say, I live in a small village by a sugar mill factory, right? And, but now, definitely I say, I live in Havana. It's a beautiful and big city, okay? So that's the way I would introduce the description of my hometown. In this case, this is not my hometown originally, but it is my hometown because this is the capital of all Cubans. Havana is the capital of all Cubans. So part 2, you have to add background and details. So notice that you will ask yourselves these questions. What is your hometown or city or village famous for? You should think of some words to describe your city, your hometown, your village. You should also ask yourself how long you have lived in that city, okay? And as example, here I would say, I live in Havana. It is a bustling city. What is a bustling city? Una ciudad que es muy bulliciosa, que tiene mucho movimiento, realmente. Bustling city, una ciudad que es muy dinámica y tiene mucho movimiento. Like, for example, Tokyo, Beijing, London, Paris, New York, Madrid. Those are all bustling cities, right? It is famous for its colonial architecture. I'm speaking about Havana. I live in Havana. It is a bustling city. It is famous for its colonial architecture. I have lived here for 40 years by now, right? So notice how I have answered these questions. It is famous for its colonial architecture, and I have lived here for 40 years. Okay, take some seconds to copy this example. Now we're going to present part 3. Okay? You are going to say what you like about your hometown. For example, well, I love living in Havana. It's it it has got such a rich culture and there is always something interesting going on. It's really a 24 hours city. Notice the expressions that I have used. In fact, some people say, for example, that they do not like Havana because it is noisy, it's a bustling city. But in my case, that is precisely what I like about Havana, that it is very dynamic, that it's a bustling city, okay, that there are many people around, that it is not a quiet city, okay, but that's my preference. It might not be the preference of others. And also, I would also add that it has a rich culture and there is always something interesting going on. Siempre está pasando algo interesante. So that's what I like about Havana. And it is really a 24 hours city. A 24 hours city. Antes que yo les diga, ¿qué ustedes infieren que quiere decir esta frase? 24 hours city. That you can find activities during the 24 hours of the day. Day and night, there are different things going on in the city. Of course, not right now, because from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m., we are in lockdown. People are not allowed to go out, and clubs are not open because we need to keep safe. But in normal times, Havana has activities 24 hours a day. Take some seconds to copy before I go on. Now I have summarized a number of expressions that you can use for the description of your hometown, of your city. For example, I love living in, and then you provide, of course, the place. I quite or really love living here. I don't mind living here. No me molesta. I don't mind living here. It's a good, or it's a great, it's a nice. You can use different adjectives. Place to live. Living in, and the place, the city, the hometown, your hometown, suits me. Me agrada. Es algo que viene conmigo. Suits me. Es algo que viene conmigo, que me gusta. It's got such a rich culture. It's synonym for it has such a rich culture, such an amusing culture, such an interesting culture, but in fact it's rich. For example, you can say that referring to Trinidad. You can say, for example, referring to Santiago, it's got such a rich history because Santiago has got such a rich history. So that's something that you can say about Santiago. If there is a very beautiful place like a city like Cienfuegos, you can say it's got such a pretty landscape, such a beautiful bay, for example, in Cienfuegos, in Matanzas. You can say that. You can say, for example, in Trinidad, referring to Trinidad, or to Camagüey, or to Santi Espíritus. Well, they've also got such a traditional architecture, for example. In places, if you live in a place where there are traditional dishes, o sea, platos tradicionales, you can refer to that when speaking about those places, if those are your hometowns. Well, you can say also that it is a small, but you can get to know all your neighbors, or you better say it's small enough that you can get to know all your neighbors. When you live in a very small place, well, you know everyone in that place, so you can say, you can use this expression. It's small enough that you can get to know all neighbors. You have a sense of community, and that's what I like of small cities or of small towns, that you have a sense of family, you have a sense of community, because you know everyone in town. Okay? Take some seconds to copy if you were not able to take down all notes. Well, I think you are ready to go on, and here we have part 4. In part 4 of the description, you can say what you dislike about your hometown, because you like many things, but maybe you don't like some other things. For example, in my case, I would say Havana is great, but it can be stressful sometimes because there are so many people from different places around. Okay, so it is great. In fact, I love my capital. I love Havana, but it can be stressful. Puede ser estresante for me sometimes because there are so many people going around that it can be stressful sometimes. You can say many other things referring to your hometown, okay? So take just 1 or 2 seconds to take down this idea. Of course, we haven't finished the description of the city, and here we have part 5. You have to describe how the time, the city, the neighborhood has changed over time, cómo ha cambiado con el tiempo, because obviously places change, right? So the example again, my example of Havana. Havana has changed a lot in the last 20 years. If you go to old Havana, for example, it's almost unrecognizable. Many new buildings have been restored, and the city has, you can also use, for example, the city has expanded a lot because new neighborhoods, new communities have been built. So these are ideas that you can say about a town, a place, a city, a neighborhood. Okay? Please take some seconds to copy. Ready to go on? Well, I think that now you have you have a number of suggestions, of strategies to describe your town, your city, your neighborhood, your village. Okay? You have to take these ideas into consideration, and now I will invite you to watch the video clip again. Welcome to my city. Welcome to my town. Welcome to my hometown. Any of these titles could suit your own video clip.
There's a palace in my town and a shopping centre. There's a university. There's lots to do and see. There are cafes and restaurants and a museum too. Let's go to the cinema. Welcome to my town. Let's go to the playground. Let's go to the library. Come and read a book with me. Let's go to the station and see the trains waiting. Let's see the cathedral and all the happy people. All the happy people. Look at all the happy people. All the happy people. Look at all the happy people. There's a hospital, a swimming pool, and a market every day. Let's go to the theatre, let's go and see a play. There's a bridge by the river and a park by the school. There's a police station and a football stadium. Welcome to my town. Let's go to the playground. Let's go to the library. Come and read a book with me. Let's go to the station and see the trains waiting. Let's see the cathedral and all the happy people. All the happy people. Look at all the happy people. All the happy people. Look at all the happy people. Welcome to my town.
Well, now, after these explanations, we are going to ask you to read a text and select the most important information to complete this chart. So, copy this chart before you watch the text. So now, I think you are ready to see the text. Cienfuegos, the pearl of the south. You know, that's some kind of translation, la perla del sur, okay? So, I won't read, remember what I said. I usually say that when we want the students to read silently, we shouldn't repeat, we shouldn't read the text orally. No debemos, un procedimiento metodológico, cuando estamos practicando, cuando estamos enseñando a leer de forma silente, no debemos acompañarlo de la lectura oral. En esta ocasión, como siempre digo, lo hago porque estamos en un medio que es diferente, que es la televisión, y yo quiero ayudarlos a que ustedes puedan copiar con mayor facilidad y rapidez. Pero cuando ustedes estén en su aula enseñando a leer a sus estudiantes, pues le dan tiempo para que lean el texto de forma silente, concentradamente, y no lo acompañen con la lectura oral. Solo lo hacen con lectura oral cuando quieren ayudarlos a pronunciar las ideas, porque después les van a pedir que lean oralmente un fragmento. All right? So, going back to our objective, so here, this is the first part of the text. Cienfuegos is a small province. Its capital city is on the lovely bay of Cienfuegos. Visitors must not miss a walk along the boulevard. They should begin their explorations on Jose Marti Park. Okay? Take some seconds to copy. Ready for the second part? Well, here is the second part. They should also visit the Thomas Terry Theater, the City Hall, and the interesting Botanic Garden. Visitors admire the beauty of its architecture and the tidiness of the streets, la limpieza cuidadosa de sus calles. Remember, tidy, que todo está muy organizado, muy limpio, and tidiness, it's the noun. Were you able to read and copy the ideas to complete the chart? Okay, let's see if you were able to complete the ideas. So here is the answer of the chart. The province is Cienfuegos. As characteristic, you can say that it's small. Its capital is also Cienfuegos, the city of Cienfuegos. Another characteristic, you can write lovely. As attractions in Cienfuegos, you can have Terry, Theater, City Hall, Botanic Garden, and characteristic that it is interesting. Notice that when describing a place, you should first remember what we explained first. You need to introduce the city. Then you need to add details and give the background. You have to say what the city is famous for, what you like and dislike in the city, okay? And of course, you have to conclude that explanation, that description. This has been the topic of the lesson today. We have covered a number of strategies to describe places in town, to describe the town, the city, the neighborhood. We need to say goodbye now. This is all for today. Remember, stay at home, keep safe, and follow the local government's directions. See you in another English lesson. Goodbye.